Guys, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I am well myself, and today I am baking. I want to make a banana cake for the guys, and I also want to make cupcakes, mostly because I've been wanting to share these particular recipes. I did tell you that I'm a baker, so that is the thing that I do easily, and I would want to share that with you. I don't bake much in the channel because we don't consume a lot of cake, yeah. But since the guys are around now, because it's summer, I want them to have a snack just to have with milk or whatever, and also for entertaining purposes. So I'll make a banana cake mostly for one particular guy who likes, and he would have that with tea and cupcakes. To share that recipe with you, because it's quite an easy recipe. What I do with that recipe is that I mix everything and beat together 200 grams of butter. So I'll measure 200 of everything else I use, which will be 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of flour, and 200 grams of eggs. Yeah, so measure everything, make sure it's balanced, just like a pound cake. Yeah, but because everything is different in nature, it blends well to make very spongy, very buttery cupcakes. Yeah, so that is something I would want you to have, especially people who are fascinated with baking but you don't do it much, and perhaps you're looking for a foolproof recipe. This is it. Yeah, but first let's start with the banana cake. I've measured everything, and I'll just show you what I'm doing here. I usually use the kitchen scale to measure, so that's what I've used to measure everything. And I just eyeballed the bananas. I have 3 bananas, and I'm going to use brown sugar for the mixture, and I'll use about 115 grams of brown sugar, 120 grams of butter, and I melted it a bit because it was quite firm. And then I'll use about 200 grams of self-raising flour, a pinch of salt, some vanilla. I'll also use cinnamon. You don't have to, but it really enriches the flavors in this cake. And you can there's a difference between the cake and the bread. You can make a banana bread as well, just nice and moist, but today we are making a cake. And I'll also be adding 3 eggs. So I'll mix this slightly melted butter with the brown sugar, and I'm going to use my hand mixer, and I'm using the whisk attachment. It's just one like that, and it does a good job even though it's very tiny. And we have 2 attachments when you're beating like a more firm cake. So this is just a nicely more liquid cake in texture, so we don't need to use the bigger mixer. So after mixing the butter and sugar, I'm adding some salt, some vanilla, cinnamon, about half a teaspoon, just a little bit. You don't want to go overboard with the cinnamon. And then I will add the eggs, just one at a time like that. That's what you do to check if your egg is good before adding it to the mixture. I don't want to add a rotten egg, so this is the best way to do it. You first break it in a smaller thing, a bowl or a cup, and then add it into the mixture. I'll beat this to make sure that the eggs are well beaten. If you prefer, you can beat 1 egg as you add. You can beat the mixture after adding each egg. And then we'll add the bananas, which are already mashed. These are almost liquid in nature when you mash them like this. So we add all the wet ingredients. Okay, and once we have all incorporated, we will add our self-raising flour to make a thicker consistency. once you add the flour, you have the option of folding it in with the spatula. That is the most common way. Or you can just blend it into the flour just like this with the hand mixer. Just don't overbeat. Yeah, it's not a problem if it's slightly lumpy. We just want it to be incorporated. So I'm also going to add some optional toppings. I have pecans here. You can add walnuts if you like, or any other nut of your choice. You don't have to. The cake will still be very delicious if you don't have these things. But I had some pecans and I had a bit of raisins, so I added just about a handful of each thing. You can add coconut shavings as well. Just whatever you have to top, it makes for more delicious cake. And I'm using this Pyrex dish in loaf shape, and because we want it to be like a loaf. So anyway, I'm mixing all this. I just folded in the nuts and the fruit, and I'll transfer this into the Pyrex dish. With the Pyrex dish, I just greased it with some butter and added some dust of flour. This helps to not have the cake sticking on the container. And then once we've done this, I'm going to slice some of that banana. You can slice it in two and just put it on top of the batter facing upwards, with the middle section facing upward. Or in this case, I sliced it 4 times and spread it right over the top surface. Yeah, and it was quite delicious with that very sticky, very sweet texture. Okay, so you just cut it lengthwise like this and put it. This is also an optional bit. You don't have to do this, but it's always delicious and also fascinating to look at. If you prefer, you can just put 2 slices. That way you remain with a lot of butter surface so that it looks good to the eye, quite attractive. Actually, that was the original idea in my mind, and then I thought I might as well put all the slices in. Another way is to just cut it in the middle and just add the 2 sections, but it tends to be a bit thick. Anyway, this is how we laid out the banana cake, and I'm going to leave it on the side as the oven warms up and then beat this cupcake mixture. Ideally, this amount of ingredients should make 15 to 20 cupcakes, but I got lazy and just wanted to use 1 cupcake tray, so they tended to go over by a lot, and that meant flat, crispy, almost cookie-like tops on the cupcakes. I just did that because I knew it was something we were going to use in the house, but I owe you a more professional recipe. You don't overfill the cupcake liners when you're making cupcakes, because you want to leave enough room for frosting, and you also want them to be individual cakes, so that when you serve they look really nice. But this is quite a good recipe, so let's go ahead and share it. As I said, it's going to be 200 grams of each ingredient, and we start with the butter, sugar, flour, eggs, and we add a bit of vanilla, a pinch of salt, and about 3 tablespoons of milk, just to adjust the consistency. You don't want your cake batter to be really thick, and this will give us a thick mixture, depending on also the size of eggs. If you're using smaller eggs, your mixture will be thicker. If you're using bigger, it will be lighter. But you don't want to add too much milk. This is just for flavor and also just a bit of adjusting that consistency, because we also don't want to put too many eggs that will affect the flavor. So I'm still going to use my hand mixer. It's easy enough on this mixture. Yeah, the mixture won't be too thick, so I will just mix that for about 6 minutes. Yeah, ideally it's best to use beaters in the hand mixer, the other kind of beaters, instead of the whisk, because it is quite small. but this worked because it was a mix all kind of thing, so it was going to get soft very fast. 눈 뜨면 눈부신 아침 햇살과 모닝콜로 너와 시작하는 하루, 마치 내 인생의 포커스가 지금에 맞춰진 걸까. 따뜻한 모닝커피의 향기가 오늘 하루도 날 기대하게 만드는 걸. 우리 오늘은 또 어떻게 지낼까. 너를 가만 보고 있어도 좋아. 아무 말도 하지 않아도 난 좋아. 너의 눈만 바라봐도 내 모든 걸 다 알 것 같아. So that is done. Our mixture is well incorporated, and we're just going to use this rubber spatula. It does clear the bowl very well. So mix that all together. Make sure that your mixture doesn't have some liquid parts or some solid parts. Make sure it's well mixed, and we're going to use this ice cream scoop to measure out our cupcake mixture. I'm very sure that I'm adding more than I should. It should ideally be about a tablespoon and a half, but since I want to use up all this mixture and add it into the tin, we'll have large cupcakes. This wouldn't be a problem if we had a bigger cupcake tray, but this is what we have. So if you're making cupcakes that you want to frost, it's best if you add less mixture so that you have enough space to add the frosting. These ones will not be frosting, and another thing you can do to make them more attractive if you're serving to guests is just sprinkle some icing sugar on top as you serve, but these are just for home consumption. Once we've added the whole mixture, I'm going to transfer these cake mixtures into the oven. I've had it heating up to 325. Ideally actually started at 350, and I reduced so that nothing gets rushed. We want to bake these cupcakes for about 12 to 15 minutes, and then the banana cake rather will be baking for a bit longer, so it takes about 30 to 40 minutes to bake all through and be done. You have to check the center, press to see if it springs back, or you can use a little knife, insert in the center, or you can use a toothpick to just ensure that the mixture is dry and not liquid at the center, because that is where it's thickest. It's halfway now. I just checked so I could show you, and this was the outcome. Flat topped, not very ideal, not very professional, but as I said, I'll make another one to just show you the difference. And so I'm going to serve one of the guys here with some milk and 2 cupcakes, small enough and very, very yummy. And then we had the banana cake cook a bit later, and I put it outside here to cool. This was very delicious. I would recommend that you try. So I'll have the recipe in the description box, and I hope you do try. This is really delicious with tea or coffee or even just milk, whatever you like, and this would be a treat for your family. So thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.